It's so weird when I hear people say we're the only species that have to pay to live. Now, the only thing I agree with these people is when you buy property, you shouldn't have to pay property taxes. You already paid the taxes. You should, if they're gonna do the property tax, you should get the option that I don't have to pay sales tax on it. You shouldn't get taxed twice. So, like, that's the only thing I agree with these people, because essentially these people just believe that everything just comes out of thin air. You know, food just comes up on the shelves. The electricity just automatically shows up. No one has to work on the infrastructure. No one has to work on this in the sewage plants, the roads. They think that everything that should just be handed to them. And these people are delusional. They're either delusional or they don't live in reality. They live in a complete bubble. And it just amazes me that we're in a society that, listen, I do a lot of complaining about the establishment, trust me. I do a lot of complaining about the companies, how they run the companies. Like, this guy came out saying that he wants like 40. He's a CEO. He wants 40% unemployment. He wants us to like cling on to our jobs like we're clinging on to the last crumb before we starve to death, or a last drop of water before we dehydrate to death. But if you think that you shouldn't have to put in any type of work to provide some type of value to society, and everything should just be handed to you, like food, water, shelter, trash pickup, and other people should just donate their time to just do these jobs for nothing, and you just get to sit around and just fuck off because you're fucking lazy and you don't want to do anything because you just don't feel like working, and people should just have to slave for you. These people piss me off. They piss me off because they don't live in reality. It's like, if you feel like that, if you don't want to work a 9-to-5 job, which I get it, man. You don't want to work for one of these big companies. I get it. You don't feel comfortable working for these small companies. You feel like you're going to go bankrupt, or they're going to go out of business. I mean, I get it. Then go live off grid, man. Like, you can't have it both ways. If you want to be a part of a civilization, you have to pull your weight, or provide some type of value where somebody will pull your weight for you. I.e., like a stay-at-home wife. There's a lot of value in a stay-at-home wife. Somebody that takes care of the kids, takes care of the home. That's a full-time job, man. That is extremely undervalued. I know, because I had to do both. I had to provide a home for my kids, and I had to work to provide the home for the kids. So I know how much work it takes to raise kids, provide a home, and do all that. I was doing double. But these people are so out of touch with reality that they think that things should just be handed to them. Just because why? Just because you exist? And you don't have to give back anything? You could just like piss off the whole time and just like float around like a daisy in the wind and be like, I'm new wave, I'm new age, I'm leveled up, I'm in the 5th dimension, while other people just have to slave for you. No, we don't live in that type of a scenario. And like I said, if you provide somebody like value to somebody and they want to pay for your existence, that's one thing. That's cool. Whatever. But you shouldn't just expect society just to keep on chugging forward and everybody just to stop, just to be like, I'm not working no more. Because if everybody stops working, society breaks down immediately. And I don't think that these people really think it through. If we all just stopped working, which there needs to be something done about these greedy capitalists, which I have no problem with capitalism. I think that's the greatest system thus far. Something needs to be done to put them in their place where they respect us, or they humble themselves and realize, man, I don't need to make more than 400 times more than my lowest employee. Enough's enough, man. I want to invest in the people who actually produce for me, and I want to actually care about the people who care about me, about my company, your workers, the people who actually care about your work, your company. But yeah, like, I hear this a lot. I see it on TikTok, and what I think this is, I've never heard it before. I've never heard anybody say that type of oh, we're the only animals on this planet that have to pay to live. But I think it comes from, because I haven't heard it before the lockdown. Maybe other people have, I don't know, but I think it's because what happened is people got paid more to stay at home than they were at their jobs when the pandemic hit. And, you know, a lot of people just stopped paying rent. So not only did they get paid more to stay home, they didn't pay rent either. So, like, they, in some cases, might have tripled their income. And now they're like, why isn't it always like this? Well, if you're renting somewhere, somebody has to pay the property tax. They got to pay the mortgage on the property if they don't own it outright. And they got to maintain it. If something breaks, a furnace or pipes or whatever, they got to fix it, man. A window breaks, it's not your fault. Like a storm happens, tree branches fall, the roof needs to be redone. Like, they have to pay to do it. You don't. Like, it takes labor, it takes time, it takes somebody's labor and time to maintain a house, a apartment. Like, stuff just doesn't, you can't just snap your fingers, and then alakazam, the problem's fixed, the toilet's fixed, the power's back on. You know, it's so crazy that our society has got so abundant in resources that people think that food just automatically shows up on the shelves, and it doesn't. Farmers work their ass off, man. These people, when harvest comes, because I was thinking about doing this, but I'm like, hell no. These people work basically like, man, when harvest comes in, those couple weeks, those people don't sleep at all, man. Those people are working like all night. You know, like, these people are working like 20 hours a day, you know, hard labor, busting their ass, and then you got to ship it to the processing, so you need somebody to ship it. If they don't do it themselves, you got to pay somebody to ship it, because it's not going to be free, and it's going to be processed and made into whatever it's going to be made into. And then it gets packaged, and somebody has to do that. They need to process it into food, and then it needs to be shipped, and then it gets shipped to it gets shipped to distribution centers, and then the distribution centers ship it to the stores, and then they offload the trucks and put the food on the shelves. The shelves don't automatically have food that just come on it. It just, like, you don't just take your money and just go to the store and be like, the shelves are always going to be full. It takes people, it takes their labor to fill those shelves. And maybe soon robots will take those jobs and we won't have to worry about it no more. But as of right now, you need human labor to do these jobs, to produce food, to produce maintenance on the infrastructure. And these people are just so clueless that they just don't realize it. They don't have any type of thought. They're just highly, highly ignorant, and they lack any common sense. It's a huge process. It takes a lot of resource. It takes a lot of labor, and so these people are advocating for slavery. You know, they want people to work for free. They don't want to have any type of system that has money. You know, they don't want to do anything like that. But like, people need to be able to be compensated, which we're not being compensated correctly. I agree. People aren't the lowest workers who produce all this shit and keep this infrastructure moving. We're not being compensated correctly. We're getting taxed to hell, and what they're doing is they are not upping our initial taxes, but they just print out more money, causing inflation, so we have to pay more prices at the store. And then at some point, since they're printing out money and putting it against our national debt, the interest on our national debt keeps going up. And at some point, so it's supposed to be like $1 trillion because of the heightened interest rates by the Fed. The interest rates have gone up. For the last 13 years, it's been like 0 or like 1%, and now it's like 5 or 6, and it's $1 trillion to service the debt to our like, it's like your credit card. You owe interest on your credit card. Well, it costs $1 trillion. Well, if we keep racking up the debt and interest rates stay up, like if the debt, like, we can't just keep printing money like they say. We're going to come to a point where the GDP the taxes that come in won't be able to sustain the actual debt, the actual interest that we owe on the debt, and then we'll go bankrupt. And at that point, they're going to have to up the taxes on everyone dramatically so we don't go bankrupt. So we're just kicking the can down the road. That's all we're doing. And this is unsustainable system because they're manipulating shit. They're not doing things correctly. They're being frivolous with our tax dollars. They're not investing right. They're worried about other wars. They just won't stop with the wars. They're worried about special interests, and it's a fucking clusterfuck, man. They need to shut. I'm glad if they shut the federal government down. I just don't even care no more.